This may be the first time that I start off a video by using a quote from Game of Thrones. However, I believe that it is accurate here. Every time a Brazilian footballer is born, the gods toss a coin and the world holds its breath. The entire history of Brazilian football can be a complete video in itself, and I will do that eventually. However, Brazilian footballers, especially the superstar footballers, seeing how they compare to one another, especially in their later years and retirement, is a sight to behold. And this video will be about potentially one of the greatest and most loved Brazilians of them all, Ronaldinho, the man in the late 90s and 2000s who made millions across the world enjoy football. His smile on the pitch gave everyone the energy to go outside their rooms and to try to do the same things he does on the pitch. Of course, in a much more pathetic manner. However, in recent years, there has been cause for concern about Ronaldinho and in the current headspace he is in. From being given a criminal charge and put in a Paraguayan prison, at one point he only had £5 to his name. For many years, people were incredibly nervous about him, and most recently came out criticising the Brazilian national team, stating that he would not watch them as they don't represent what Brazil was all about. However, after completely tearing apart his own national team and country, he would then advertise a deodorant brand, saying that he meant none of it, which is a very weird thing to do. Like, can you imagine? Because he's literally an idol to so many Brazilian footballers, to just many footballers. So imagine him completely tearing you apart and then be like, "Oh, psych, I don't mean it. By the way, please buy this deodorant." Like, are you kidding me? Comment down below your thoughts about Ronaldinho and where do you think he'd be going in the next couple of years or so. I'd still think with many Brazilian footballers, when they do retire, they always appear to be on the edge of completely falling apart. Maybe that is a way of simply how they are raised in the very tense and very dangerous environment around them. By no means is this to blame Ronaldinho. However, this is a common trend you see with many Brazilian footballers, Adriano being the most obvious ones, and a lot of concern for the likes of Neymar, who for many people didn't reach the expectations that he was meant to, that he had so much more to give, but fell a bit complacent with his life over at Paris. If you do enjoy, smash a like button and also subscribe if you're new. And Vizeh Designs, the best football prints in the world, all made by myself. Link down below top of the description. Use code DINIO for 15% off all items. And yeah, let's get into it. Ronaldo de Assis Moreira, otherwise known as Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho grew up in Porto Alegre in 1980, who was the son of a just humble dock worker and saleswoman. Of course, like many Brazilian footballers, grew up around the slums and gangs of many Brazilian neighborhoods. Drugs and violence was the norm in the area, with a undertone of racism across the black and white population of Brazil. Even at a young age, the many photos or videos of Ronaldinho showed a boy with a massive smile on his face, which shone a shining light to his otherwise very deprived surroundings. When I did my video speaking about Anthony at Man United or Neymar at Brazil, they all followed a very same and similar storyline, which is gangs, violence in very awful neighborhoods, and football or sport is always the way out. In many South American places, Argentina for example, it's usually these lines. Football in these regions it's not life and death, but it's not far away. It's between living a very successful life, a peaceful life, or living life surrounded by gangs and violence. Therefore, it is, for many, their main and only escape. From a young age, it was obvious of Ronaldinho's talent. However, for many young kids in this kind of surrounding, it didn't mean anything. You needed protection. There is a somewhat unwritten rule when it comes to gangs and neighborhoods in slums in parts of Brazil or South America, is that when you see a young boy that you know could make it, he's protected respected by the rest of the group. So gangs in his slum would look after Ronaldinho like they do for many other players if they believe they have what it takes to actually make it. So he was protected and went to Grêmio at the age of 11 to show what he was really about, scoring 23 goals for the Grêmio youth side, and then went on to make his professional debut in 1998. The following year scored 23 goals for Grêmio and helped Brazil win the Copa America. Of course, as a young Brazilian, this made us of interest, and the likes of Arsenal and Manchester United wanted Ronaldinho. However, Ronaldinho took his brother's advice, and that club was Paris Saint-Germain. In a team in the league that was far from the elite at a time period, he wouldn't have the pressure on him, and he could just go and play his game without much pressure on him. And he made his game even better as well. You could be a unbelievable skiller and be great on the ball, however you need the intelligence as part of your game, and he built that at Paris. His first year at Paris wasn't particularly the greatest, however still made a call up to the 2002 World Cup squad, and he was joined with obviously Ronaldo, R9, and Rivaldo. And in that 2002 World Cup, Ronaldinho became the star. In that summer, he was poised to join Manchester United. Sir Alex Ferguson was trying to do all he can to bring him to the club. However, in the last moments of that transfer negotiation, Barcelona arrived. And this was Barcelona at a time that wasn't particularly doing amazing. They were choked up with a lot of debt and at a time starved of the success that they expected. They simply could not afford for Ronaldinho to be a flop. With thousands arriving at Barcelona airport, the entirety of Barcelona's history at a time period relied on him at that stage. On his debut against Sevilla, he scored from 30 yards out, which flew straight past the goalkeeper and in off the bar. However, his first season wasn't the greatest, as they were mid-table by midway through the season. Valencia went on to win that campaign, and Frank Rijkaard, who was the manager for that season, realised that a major clear-out was needed. The likes of Marc Overmars, Luis Enrique, Saviola, and Juan Riquelme had to make way. Next season came in Deco and Samuel Eto'o, and the revival was instant. The very next season, Barcelona went on to win La Liga, and in the Champions League, got knocked out in round of 16. However, the famous moment of one of the greatest Ronaldinho goals against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and many people forget that they got knocked out that very same night thanks to a John Terry header. However, the brilliance of Ronaldinho to think about taking that shot is one of the greatest all-time Champions League goals in that era. And despite being knocked out in the round of 16, Ronaldinho that very same year won the Ballon d'Or in 2005. As what is quoted by Frank Rijkaard, the current Barcelona manager, said he is the best player in the world and he's very important in a dressing room. His attitude is always contagious, and it wasn't only his teammates that looked up to him, but almost anyone that watched the sport. In the summer of 2005, kids and players across the world played in parks or cages trying to reenact the same skills that he was doing. On the advertisements of literally every single company in the world, Pepsi, Nike, Gatorade, you make it up, he was the star of football. Incredible players. Zidane was still there during this time period, of course. Zidane, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho was so far and above every other footballer on the planet at that stage, not only for his ability but alongside his actual stardom. The only one that you can really say was possibly a bigger name, maybe David Beckham, because of his star status when he went to Real Madrid and everything around him. But in terms of a footballer, there was no contest. However, despite all of this, he took his own time to mentor a boy from the academy. You may have heard of his name, called Lionel Messi. This came out in a book later on after Ronaldinho met Messi during the Barcelona B team in a little inter-squad friendly. The Brazilian allegedly called a journalist friend asking that he just finished playing with someone even better than him. And this was 2005, so Messi was only a year away from really breaking into the first team. Barcelona, of course, won the Champions League back in 2006. However, in the next 2 seasons, they won no silverware other than the Supercopa de España. Under Frank Rijkaard and Ronaldinho, the era was of course coming to an end, as both Dino and Frank Rijkaard left the club in 2008. Lionel Messi under Ronaldinho's wing was meant to be the successor, and he had some fantastic players ready to go with the forward line of Samuel Eto'o, Lionel Messi and Thierry Henry. And it worked out, as the next season under Pep Guardiola, they won the treble. They won everything. in 2009. Ronaldinho spent some time playing in Italy for AC Milan for 3 years. However, despite some great performances, you could tell that it wasn't the same. And then went back to Brazil, playing for Flamengo, Atletico Mineiro, and even playing some time over in Mexico, and then decided to retire back in Brazil for Fluminense. Many years went on and Ronaldinho had a few cameos for a few sponsors here and there. However, the world really heard of Ronaldinho back in 2020 when he was arrested in Paraguay with a forged fake passport. He would spend 32 days behind bars in a Paraguayan jail after being ordered to serve a house arrest for 4 more months. Ronaldo and his brother paid $1.6 million in bail and agreed not to leave the country. Many strange things was happening during this time period. He was put in many controversies, such as an unpaid $2.5 million fine for environmental damage, having his Brazil passport confiscated, being rumoured as a possible Senate candidate for the country's, at the time, far right-wing party, and multiple advertising for shady companies and standing trial for an alleged pyramid scheme. Ronaldinho had 57 of his properties completely seized by the government due to unpaid taxes and fines. So what is Ronaldinho doing now? Well, his name came out again in recent days due to his Instagram post completely belittling and putting down the Brazilian national team. Quoted, "They lack everything," saying, "I'm not going to watch a single game. They lack everything. Grit, joy, good football. I'm going to abandon Brazil." However, this was a strange move to make, as many Brazilians came out questioning why would he do such a thing to put down his own nation. He then came out saying that this was all a advertising campaign for a deodorant brand and weren't his own words. Quoted, "I would never abandon Brazil. These words are an abandonment of mine, in fact." The likes of Rafinha coming out saying that I have no idea why he would do such a thing. It is a very weird move to advertise a deodorant brand for the sake of completely putting down your entire nation. Ronaldinho knows how much he is important to the Brazilian players. Rafinha coming out saying that he is a model to him, an idol to him. And again, for him as a winger, playing at Barcelona, it hurt him dearly, even after finding out that it wasn't even real. Like, I don't get this. Why would you put down your entire nation in the most, harshest way to then do another post a day later saying, "Oh, I don't actually mean that. That's why I joined Rexona, a deodorant band. It's a movement to encourage the cheer that doesn't quit." What? Why would he do this? Ronaldinho, of course, got paid a lot of money. From one report, he makes $150,000 off just one Instagram post. Tell me down below your thoughts of Ronaldinho and particularly where he's at right now. Of course, we all hope that he's doing well. He seems to be doing little shows in these charity matches. However, he looks like for any company that's willing to pay him, that he would do the same thing. For example, also sponsored by New 88, some, I believe, Vietnamese betting company, and of course, he's the star of it. I'm sure they paid him well. Tell me down below your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.